From mispronunciations
Look at this country! You are gay.
to super lazy stereotypes,
Also, me like how the fly lice.
The Simpsons poked fun at just about every country on planet Earth, but just how many of them have been offended? Well, today, we're going to be combing through the history of the entire show to find out just that. Starting with one of the show's favorite punching bags, the United Kingdom. If you ever wanted to know how the writers of The Simpsons see their friends across the pond, nothing says it better than the Big Book of British Smiles.
The Big Book of British Smiles.
To be fair, it's pretty universally agreed upon that the Brits are a little less dentally proficient than the rest of the world, stereotypically speaking, which is a polite way of saying their teeth are horrible. Another thing that's pretty well agreed upon is the fact that the UK isn't famous for its tasty food, and The Simpsons pull no punches with that either.
I am but a humble purveyor of disgusting British food. Lark tongues, head pudding, eel pies.
Eel pie? My favorite. We British sure eat crap.
To be fair, it's not like the United States are that much well known for their good food either. But anyway, if you think that clip was a stretch, it's actually not. The Brits have a dish called jellied eels. Don't search that up unless you never want to eat again, by the way. Obviously, all of these so far have been pretty stereotypical, even if it is kind of funny. But the other stereotype of the UK that The Simpsons shows us is their love of beer.
Jolly sodding Xmas, Major. Choke on it!
I wonder if that's actually how a whole lot of Americans view British people. But I mean, just take a look at how they view British women.
Best of all, the waitresses and showgirls are all real Brits.
Freshen your drink, Governor!
Now, while that is pretty bad, in the grand scheme of things, I think the UK gets off pretty lightly. Sure, they love beer and have horrible food, it's hardly offensive. However, if you're French, I'd say you got a lot more of an argument to be offended. Like, here's the time Springfield Elementary got Willie to teach French.
Bonjour! The cheese-eating surrender monkeys!
Oh yes, that's exactly what you want to teach kids French people are. Cheese-eating surrender monkeys. Obviously, when it was made, it was meant to be a joke, but some sad people have actually used this term to actually insult French people. I guess the writers don't help themselves, though, because it's not the only time they've taken a swipe at France.
France!
Oh, my cheese stinks. Oh, wait, it's me.
And if you thought that was a one-off bad sketch by Krusty, then how about what Homer says here?
Marge, look at me. We've been separated for a day, and I'm as dirty as a Frenchman.
You could say that these examples are caricatures and designed to be shocking. Sure, that might be the case, but there actually is a whole fleshed-out episode of The Simpsons spend some time in France. Well, Bart spends some time in France anyway. The episode I'm talking about is The Crepes of Wrath, where he's sent to France as a foreign exchange student after doing this.
So long, sucker!
Now in France, Bart sees where he's going to be spending the next couple of months, and it does not paint France in a kind light, that's for sure.
Chateau, my son.
Ah, Maurice, dès que le garçon américain arrive, tes jeux d'esclavage sont finis.
There's a pretty big French peasant stereotype going on here. I mean, look at the place.
Ew, what a dump.
Bart's new French friends put him right to work on their land, and I think it's pretty obvious he wishes he didn't pull the prank that got him sent here in the first place.
My grapes are waiting for their water.
Then, after a hard day's work, Bart is treated like an animal. He has to sleep on the floor with no food while he hears the people he's staying with making French noises. There's no other way to put it. And as a quick aside, that reminds me of another French noise scene from The Simpsons.
We will show the stupid Americans who look like the frog, eh?
Anyway, back to the episode. I'm sure most French people would go without making food to make sure a guest, never mind a child guest, doesn't go hungry. The work they've been getting him to do is also in their small vineyard, and to make a quick buck, they're selling the stuff with a special ingredient.
Meilleur couvert. Je pense toujours au miracle dans l'antifreeze. Bien sûr, c'est du poison. Mais dans les proportions voulues, ça donne du crevin.
To make sure their batch of wine isn't, poisonous, you'd usually send it off for some testing. But why bother when you got a stupid American boy you can force to test it for you?
Qu'est-ce que je t'avais dit? Caisse d'antifreeze au magasin.
But while these guys are the worst, when Bart leaves the farm to find some antifreeze for them, he rats on them to a passerby, and he couldn't be nicer.
De l'antifreeze dans le vin? Ah, mais c'est sérieux ça. Viens avec moi, fiston. Tu n'as plus rien à craindre.
Vous aurez toujours une place dans mon cœur.
And he's good to his word. He looks after Bart and gets those two villains locked away forever.
Eh ben maintenant, vous ferez votre vin en prison.
Au revoir, suckers!
Bart then returns home having not learned his lesson, but still he's safe and sound, and he's got a bed to sleep on. I know those guys were bad people, but surely there aren't still 16th century style French farmers working in France, right? Either way, I'd say if you're French, if you're offended, it's not over nothing. Another nation that considers itself on the potentially offended list is Jamaica, and it starts out fairly innocently with Homer committing some well-meaning but ignorant cultural appropriation.
Dad, you cannot wear that. That's a Rastafarian hat.
I've been safarian since before you were born.
What's probably more offensive is the fact that Homer actually passes as a Jamaican.
Cool concert, am I right?
Yeah, nice try, Narc.
Who?
That fat Jamaican guy.
What did I say? What's going on?
Why do you want to destroy us?
I'm sorry, did I just say he passes as Jamaican? No, he's got narc written all over him, but you get the idea. It's some lighthearted but clumsily handled humor. That's not really the case with Krusty's take on being Jamaican, though.
Jamaica?
Hey, man, I call for a joint. This vote is dreadlocked.
I mean, dude, where do I even start with that one? The fake dreadlocks, the terrible accent, the even worse pun. I know that in-universe that sketch is pretty controversial, and for good reason. Where the Simpsons are concerned, it looks like no country is safe from being made fun of. Heck, they even dedicated a whole episode to clowning on Australia. The episode I'm talking about is obviously Bart versus Australia. You know, the episode where Bart becomes obsessed with water flowing down his toilet in a certain way?
You'll prove me right.
Lisa tells him that the water runs differently in the southern hemisphere, so Bart literally calls Australia to double check.
The fixtures, they're all draining clockwise, sir. Oh.
It's not offensive per se, but that Australian accent is the worst I've ever heard. Anyway, Bart still can't believe about which way the water runs, so he asks the little Aussie boy to go and check his neighbor's water. Milhouse comes a-calling, Bart can't be bothered waiting for an answer.
Oh, downtown smells like cookies. Wanna go smell? Yes, I do.
He leaves his phone calling Australia all day long while pushing the charge onto the kid he phoned, and his dad is not happy.
$900 dues? Tobias, did you accept a 6-hour collect call from the States?
Instead of paying for the call, the dad calls Bart to give him a piece of his mind, and Bart doesn't really de-escalate the situation.
You're all the way in Australia. I think I hear a dingo eating your baby.
Yeah, well, ooh!
The Aussie dad doesn't leave it there, though. He escalates it through his political system, and Bart has to face the consequences of his actions by going to Australia. And straight away, the writers are on the offense.
Australia was originally founded as a settlement for British convicts. Lisa, watch your camera.
Ah, yes. Showcasing a group of people as being no good thieves as soon as they land is always good practice, and it's no better in the bar, or should I say pub.
You call that a knife? This is a knife.
That's not a knife, that's a spoon.
All right, you win. I see you've played knifey spoony before.
There's not much more I can say about knifey spoony, but what about the famous Aussie beer?
Give me one of those famous giant beers I heard so much about.
Something wrong, Yank?
No, pretty big, I guess.
So you get the idea. The writers basically paint the Australian people as speaking in funny made-up words, adding those to the end of random words and drinking a truckload of beer. But anyway, let's get to Bart's apology.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're free to go, Bart.
Hey, that was easy. I guess that means the Simpsons will be on their way back to Springfield.
Right after your additional punishment.
Punishment?
All right, too good to be true. And Bart faces more than just prison time. He faces the Aussie Big Boot. But before Bart can take his medicine, Homer steps in and saves him, and the pair go on the run. Things are eventually settled when Marge acts as a peace broker, and Bart agrees to a smaller kick from the Prime Minister. But yet again, he has other ideas.
And this is for the United States of America.
If those guys weren't annoyed before, then they are now. They break down the American embassy and run all of them out of the country. So yeah, that was basically an entire episode that poked fun at Australians. Sure, things weren't all bad, but on the whole, they were portrayed as a mixture of violent criminals and drunks, and then at the end there, Bart basically wipes his feet on the very fabric of their country. It's funny for sure, but it's also 100% a little mean-spirited. Also, before we move on, Uruguay also caught some shade in that episode. Not enough to make a whole segment about them, but yeah, I thought I'd mention it. Now it's time to go to the Far East, as Japan is the next country up to bat. Probably the most famous time The Simpsons tackled the country of Japan is in the episode In Marge We Trust, where Homer finds a suspiciously familiar-looking Japanese cleaning product.
What's going on? Oh my god, what is that?
Homer figures the only way he's gonna find out more about this box is if he takes it to the only Japanese man in Springfield, Akira. And you might want to brace yourself for this portrayal.
Hi, bye. Hi.
Can you read this for me?
Ah, yes, this is a product called Mr. Sparkle. He looks like you.
I know this season was from the mid-90s, and things were much different back then, but I can't help but cringe listening to that. Akira gives him some good info, though, and Homer uses it to track down the phone number for the factory that's using his face.
Yes, this is Homer Simpson from America.
Hello, Chief. Let's talk, why not?
You know, I'm sure there's something offensive in that, but if anything, it's probably towards America. Anyway, the kind of English-speaking worker sends Homer a package explaining how Mr. Sparkle came to be made, and more importantly, why it looks like him.
Matsumoto Fishworks, Samarubushi, heavy manufacturing concern.
I mean, that sure explains it. The Simpsons have had more than one run-in with Japan, though, like way back in season 4. There's this whole bit about a scary new flu that comes out of Japan after a worker sneezes in a package.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu. I've been working with a shattered pelvis for 3 weeks.
No guys, the video isn't lagging, they're just parodying dubbed Japanese films, as well as the factory overwork culture of the country. Anyway, the box manages to make its way to Springfield and everyone gets ill.
Good lord.
Like, the whole town ends up coming down with the flu thanks to that worker who purposefully sneezed and coughed into the juicer boxes. Obviously, this has gotten more relevant in recent years thanks to COVID, and yes, I know that came from China, not Japan. Actually, the inspiration for the plot point was thanks to that 1968 Hong Kong flu. After both of these episodes, though, the Simpsons do actually go to Japan. In season 10's 30 Minutes Over Tokyo, and it's not exactly any less offensive.
Come on, Homer. Japan will be fun.
Besides, if we want to see Japanese people, we could have gone to the zoo.
Homer.
What?
I know Homer meant the guy who washes the elephants and all that, but that wording does feel a little mean-spirited. This episode was actually pulled from airing in Japan and China due to a couple of reasons. Firstly, it parodied an episode of Pokemon that caused some kids to go into epileptic seizures.
Battling seizure robots.
Also in this episode, The Simpsons take shots at the brand Hello Kitty and even suggest that they burn cats in the making of their products.
The Hello Kitty Factory. Who's up for some exploring?
And the biggest thing that got this episode pulled from Japan was when Homer met the Japanese emperor, Akihito, and did this.
I'm the emperor.
Yeah, and I'm Clobbersaurus.
Yeah, beating up the country's most important person is a surefire way of offending people. Plus, of all the things he could land in, the writers chose a bucket of dirty sumo thongs, which, by the way, aren't called thongs, they're called mawashis. So as you can see, The Simpsons has a pretty extensive history with Japan. Not all good, not all bad, but it is a little offensive. Another country that The Simpsons has had a long relationship with is Ireland. Now, of all the countries on this list here, Ireland probably has one of the best scenes of humor. They can take a joke, and they can dish them out too. So you're probably gonna have to go heavy on the stereotypes if you're gonna offend them. Well, don't you worry. The Simpsons don't let us down in that regard. Like, here's Kent Brockman on St. Patrick's Day with some serious sarcasm.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing is a total disregard for the things St. Patrick's Day stands for. Are these the things we think of when we think of the Irish?
And from the same episode, we see this fish and chip shop being blown up. Now, while that might not seem offensive, at the time this was broadcast, Ireland and Great Britain were sort of in a conflict called the Troubles. And around when this was aired, there were a lot of bombings going on from both sides. And while it was a British shop on the end of the explosion here, some Irish folk didn't see the funny side of that. Away from the St. Patrick's stuff, the Simpsons have actually gone over to the Emerald Isle before, in the Name of the Grandfather, and things look a little different to how Abe remembers them.
What What the? Upscale boutiques? Leprechauns!
Yardity, plasma screen TV. Summer in Tuscany.
It's not just the shops and the people that are different, so are the drinks.
Whiskey, served in a potato, floating in a Guinness stout.
I said an Irish drink! That's better.
Yes, there's nothing more Irish than a potato. Again, if you guys don't know, Ireland's main source of food a few hundred years ago were potatoes, and they were unable to grow them due to a disease, which led to the starvation and death of over 1 million people, which is a pretty dark joke when you realize the history behind it. We do see an Irish staple drink in there though, Guinness, and the other members of the Simpsons family are in the Guinness brewery to see how the black gold is made.
Oh! You mean all the ingredients, but you don't know the ratio.
50-50?
Dicey, don't!
Bog water has a bit of a double meaning here. It can mean like water from a bog, like a swamp, or it can mean toilet water. So either way, it's a big dig at one of Ireland's most famous exports. Even after all these pokes at their country, the people of Ireland still found the funny side of things. A lead writer from the Irish Times said that the episode did have one too many stereotypes, but it was still nice seeing one of the greatest TV shows ever written giving attention to their country. Like I said at the start, the people of Ireland know how to take a joke, even if it's not a top quality one. But speaking of things that aren't top quality, we've already seen a bit of cultural appropriation earlier with Jamaica. Well, it's now time for a bit more as we turn to Finland. It happens during one of Springfield Elementary's UN club meetings, and it's none other than the brainiac Martin who represents Finland.
Smile more. Work that pelvis. No, too much smile.
That outfit he's wearing is called a gakti, and it's usually only worn by a specific part of the Finnish people known as Samis. It's an outfit for ceremonies, important moments, and used to show where exactly in Finland the Sami are from. So having an American kid wear it while doing a goofy dance, I'd say is pretty offensive. Another country that's going to be pretty ticked off by its generalized representation is the country of Micronesia. In the show, it's not even given its real name. Instead, it's called Micronesia. And Homer goes there as a religious missionary to escape giving $10,000 to PBS.
Me hiding from PBS.
I am Kotok, and this is Ak.
Now, right off the bat, I'm sure you can see the problems with this. The fact that they've renamed the country to something pretty offensive and completely generalized a whole nation as people who are tribesfolk, unspoiled by the Western world.
Thanks, sweetheart. Have a Bible.
I am Uviluyuki Tanawanje.
I'm gonna call you Lisa Jr.
Speaking of completely unspoiled, of course Homer can't help himself from introducing his new friends to some vices of the Western world, so he has them build a fully fledged casino.
Casino gambling!
Lucky Savage?
It could be you!
At least the writers are self-aware with the noble savage stereotype they're going for, and it's not long before the savage part of that trope is shown on screen.
Oh my god.
To get them back on the straight and narrow, Homer uses the fear of God to stop them from gambling, drinking, and fighting, and it works.
How many times must we go to church to avoid hell?
Every Sunday for the rest of our lives.
No, really.
I think this is probably one of the more clumsy episodes we've covered so far. There's no real uplifting of the Micronesians. The only Westerner that enters their island is suddenly the one they all listen to, and I've already mentioned the noble and savage stuff. Micronesia hasn't commented on this episode, but it's easily one of the most offensive episodes we've covered so far. You gotta be fair to the writers, though. They don't just pick on certain countries or cultures, they try to poke fun at everyone, including their next-door neighbors, Canada. The first time the Simpsons go over to Canada is in season 13, and it's thanks to Bart chasing his heart over a girl called Greta.
Bart, forget it. I'm leaving in 10 minutes. My dad's shooting a movie in Toronto.
You're going to Spain?
Goodbye, Bart.
After checking a map, Bart realizes he's got to go to Toronto to win her back, but first he's got to convince the rest of his family to go too.
I have to go to Toronto.
Canada? Why should we leave America to visit America Jr.?
Oh yeah, I'm sure the Canadians are going to be big fans of that, especially with the way things are going at the minute with the 51st state stuff. Greta ends up dating Milhouse before swerving both him and Bart, so I guess it was a wasted trip after all. Homer ends up going to Canada again to get some prescription drugs from Winnipeg as Mr. Burns started a monopoly on the stuff. Come on, Winnipeg can't be that bad a place to live, right? After getting their meds, the group stumble across the Canadian doppelganger of Ned's.
Cuddy, you're gibberish.
Oh, and doodly
Diddly
diddly.
oodly.
Doodly doodly diddly doodly.
That's too many doodlies for anyone. Despite the fact it's Nedception, there's a clear difference between the two. Well, that and the fact they've got different colored hair.
Say, would you like to puff on a reeferino? It's legal here.
They warned me Satan would be attractive. Let's go.
The writers of The Simpsons aren't always self-aware when writing jokes about Canada. In fact, there was that time where they resorted to just straight-up insults, like the time the American and Canadian police clashed when trying to save Marge and Homer.
Back off, Canadians, we got him.
You back off, hosers.
Beat it, you puck-slapping maple suckers.
Take a hike, you Shatner-stealing Mexico touchers.
Compared to some of the other countries we've covered, I'd say Canada gets off pretty lightly. Then again, you gotta remember that a few of the writing team on The Simpsons were Canadian themselves, so it does kind of make sense. We've looked at one of America's neighbors, and now it's time to look at another. This time, though, we're going south to another country beginning with C. Cuba. Homer's had to head to Havana after helping Mr. Burns escape arrest from the FBI after he stole $1 trillion bill.
Take that, Uncle Sam!
They flee with company with Mr. Smithers as fugitives, and that's how they end up in Cuba. It's not depicted in the greatest of lights, a bankrupt country that sells a special type of meat.
There's shredded pork everywhere.
It's carne de burro.
Nice to meet you.
Nothing says come to Cuba like showing them selling them donkey meat. Yummy! While there, Mr. Burns asks to meet with whoever's in charge, and a taxi driver takes him to none other than Fidel Castro.
Oh, so the island's not for sale, eh? You at least permit us to live in your socialist paradise? You're talking about Cuba? All we ask is preferential treatment because of my fabulous wealth.
He's a complicated guy with a whole lot of history, but one thing Castro did do was contribute to heavily bankrupting Cuba. So when Mr. Burns appears with $1 trillion, what do you think he's gonna do? Spoiler alert, he don't ask for a loan.
Mr. Burns, I think we can trust the president of Cuba.
I'll give it back. Give what back?
Homer does go back to Cuba for a second time a little later on in the show. He takes Abe to try and get some cheap medical treatment, and as soon as the Simpsons step foot in Havana, the writers are back on the insult train. Like, look at all the people Cuba let through customs.
U.S. business.
Next.
Professional research.
I don't know what either of those words mean. Is there a VIP entrance to this place?
Religious activities.
God, no!
You've got criminals, drug dealers, people carrying guns, deadly disease carrying bugs, and then there's Sideshow Bob and poachers, too.
Public performances.
Never!
Fell off a fishing boat.
Many times, not today.
Transmission of information.
Who wants to know?
Oh yeah, and guys carrying literal RPGs. You can't really blame Fidel Castro either, because at the time of airing, he'd been out of power for 8 years. So the lawless, corrupt stereotype of Cuba is a little bit outdated. But despite all this, I'd say by the end of the episode, Cuba did get some credit, especially as it did help Abe get back on his feet and find his zest for life. We've just covered Canada and Cuba, so why not add our third and final C to the list? China. Remember a little while ago we covered the episode about Japan and the Osaka flu? Well, a similar episode also aired about China. It's a little bit different. It wasn't caused by workers coughing into packages, but instead by mosquitoes.
Ow!
After coming down to some mysterious illness, Bart goes to see Dr. Hibbert.
Now, you're sure you haven't been to China? There's no shame in it.
I told you, a mosquito came out of my Laffy meal and bit me.
Why would Bart be ashamed even if he had been to China? A little strange, but whatever. Hibbert diagnoses Bart with a virus that's come straight out of China, and no, it's not COVID, it's much worse.
Your son is exhibiting classic symptoms of panda virus. Here, take a look.
Pretty on the nose there, aren't they? I mean, at least the Osaka flu is actually from a place in Japan instead of some heavily stereotyped animal that the country's associated with. Like most of the countries on our list, the Simpsons do end up going to China a little later in the show when Selma treats the family to a vacation in Beijing.
How about that, Selma? Flying all of us to China for no apparent reason.
Well, it's not for no reason. It's so Homer can pose as her husband so she can adopt a Chinese baby. Well, let's not focus on that, because Homer gets viciously attacked by a wild animal. Any guesses on which one?
But you, drop the panda!
But he loves me!
Ow!
Little...
They just can't help themselves, can they? Obviously, this episode has been banned in China, but not for the lazy panda stuff. Instead, it's due to this.
Oh, look at him sleeping. He's like a little angel that killed 50 million people. Yes, you are!
Yep, the less said about that, the better. But also, to add insult to injury, there's this. which is The Simpsons making fun of the Tiananmen Square massacre, where in 1989, anywhere from 200 to 3,000 people, depending on your source, were killed for protesting. So yeah, makes sense why this one was pulled. I guess the writers for this one were more attacking the Chinese government for covering up the deaths when it first happened, but still, right or wrong, China did get offended. We've seen an offensive episode that got a huge reaction from the country it was stereotyping. How about an offensive episode that got a pretty neutral reaction from the country it was stereotyping? That's right, I'm talking about Tanzania.
Yay!
What is it, Nagongo?
Evil is coming.
What shall we do, Nagongo?
You are Nagongo now.
And when they land, we see more of the same lazy stereotypes that we saw with Micronesia, but this time it's magnified by 10.
Hey, Mom, look what Mabali gave me. Hey, check it out.
I told you not to get your lip this.
All right. Uh-oh.
It just had to be a bunch of lazy stereotypes for the most part, but then again, this is The Simpsons, so it's not like we're ever gonna be realistic here.
Wait, rhinos don't come from eggs.
What did you just see, Lisa?
I know, but...
What did you just see?
The next country on our list has been the most vocal about its depiction on the show, and that's America's South American cousin, Brazil. The Simpsons are once again jetting off on a vacation, but the fun soon stops when Homer enters a random taxi and is literally kidnapped.
My American friend, I'm afraid that this is a kidnapping.
So that means I don't have to pay the fare.
I suppose.
They want $50,000 for his release, which obviously the Simpsons do not have, but a Brazilian boy who is being sponsored by Lisa, who's now rich as hell by the way, gathers up the cash to bail Homer out.
Look at all that pink and purple.
Our money sure is gay.
You are free to go.
Okay, a bit of criminal activity sure isn't the thing that made Brazil so upset. It's more so the other stuff around the main plot, like this.
Mom, these are slums. The government just painted them bright colors so the tourists wouldn't be offended.
Works for me.
Yeah, check out the rats.
Ooh, they look like Skittles.
Yeah, suggesting that the whole country is full of rat-infested slums will upset a few people over in Brazil, that's for sure. This episode couldn't have come out at a worse time for the country either, because they had just announced an $18 million tourism investment that was seemingly for nothing now, because, I mean, the Simpsons had literally just clowned on them. So the tourism board got the backing of the Brazilian government to actually sue Fox, but as we know, the First Amendment protects free speech, so any Brazil to America lawsuit's gonna be thrown right out of court faster than you can say Copacabana. Plus, Fox commented by saying nothing that's shown to The Simpsons has anything to do with them, and like the law states, Fox stands up for free speech. So The Simpsons keep going with their relentless jabs at different countries, and the next one I'd like to look at is Morocco. It's a unique country to pick on, but you best believe that the show manages to hit at Moroccans. It comes from the episode Treehouse of Horror 2, where the whole family are in Marrakesh.
What a jump! Why would Princess Grace live in a place like this?
Dad, that's Monaco.
While looking through the Marrakesh markets, Homer stumbles upon a strange seller wanting to give Homer the monkey's paw.
Yeah.
It is a monkey's paw dating back to Alal bin Abdallah. It has the power to grant wishes to its owner.
Yeah?
And when he buys the forbidden item, the merchant mysteriously vanishes.
Ooh, Homer, where did you get that ugly thing?
Right over there. On your way, it was over there.
You'll be sorry.
Okay, I can't lie, that's a pretty dang good joke. But the whole problem with this depiction is the fantasy feeling the whole place Morocco gets. The stereotypical merchant with something supernatural to sell, it reduces Marrakesh, a real city with real people, to a backdrop for Western fears and fantasies and turns it into a stage for a story about gullible outsiders being tricked by a foreign figure. Plus, Homer literally calls the place a dump, so you can see why they'd be upset. Another country that gets clowned on by the show is Mexico.
Animals are crapping in our houses, and we're picking it up. Did we lose a war? That's not America. That's not even Mexico.
Well, believe it or not, Homer's actually Mexican. Or that's what his new employer at Sproul Mart says when he refuses to work overtime.
You get to work overtime without us paying you extra.
I won't do it.
If you don't, we'll ship you right back to Mexico.
But I'm a U.S. citizen.
Uh-huh. Are you?
Even though that episode came out like over 15 years ago, it's crazy how relevant it is today. The use of manipulation of documents to suppress hardworking people into doing jobs for pennies is just as sad now as it was then. You can't even get mad at The Simpsons for that one. It's funny because it's true. I think Homer took the whole Homer Sanchez thing a little too far though, literally, as in another episode he heads to home, or so he thinks.
Hola, senor. We are gringos who wish to spend mucho dinero in your country.
Splendid. Welcome to Canada.
There is loads wrong with this one. The stereotypical music, the cultural appropriation, the way he basically infers that a white man's coming to spend money in your country is a good thing, but hey, it's all undone because Homer's an idiot who's accidentally gone to Canada. If anything, Mexico will probably be relieved. But now it's time to come to the most meta entry of all, saving the best till last. It's time to look at the United States. If you're gonna pick on everyone else, it's only fair you pick on yourself, and The Simpsons has its fair share of self-aware jabs. Heck, they even spent a whole episode tearing into New York because Barney stole Homer's car.
Your vehicle is illegally parked in the borough of Manhattan.
My vehicle!
Your car will be thrown into the East River at your expense.
Oh?
Not only is Homer's car in serious trouble, but he hates New York.
I don't want to go to New York City.
Why not?
New York is a hellhole.
But the family needs the car, and they manage to convince him to let them go on a semi-vacation to get their vehicle back, and Bart makes short work of offending the Jewish citizens of New York.
Look, it's ZZ Top. You guys rock.
Maybe I'll leave you.
While Homer starts letting his paranoia get the better of him.
Oh, all right. But not a minute later. Once the sun goes down, all the weirdos turn crazy. I'm on to you.
When Homer gets into his car, it's been ticketed to hell and clamped, so he tries to take the clamp off of his mouth, which sure, it's stupid, but did he really need to be heckled like this?
When you're done with that, I got something up here you can bite on.
And why don't you be polite, you stinking puss bag? You gotta call that number on a booth. Sorry about that, guy. They stick all the jerks in Tower 1.
At least the other guy's helpful, but still, it doesn't exactly paint New Yorkers in the best of light.
That's it. I'm coming over there.
Yeah, why don't you come over here?
Shut up, the both of you.
While Homer's dealing with his car troubles and rowdy locals, Marge and the kids take the New York subway.
Here's a better idea. You give me your address and I'll write to you.
Okay, just send it to Jesus.
Nothing says come to our city like an old hobo asking for a child's address. Homer, meanwhile, ends up missing the ticket officer while going for a whiz and decides he's had enough in New York and his car.
You freaking maniac!
Yeah, you jackass!
Shut up, shut up, shut up!
Homer eventually busts the clamp off his car and all the glass in his windows at that, and goes to pick up Marge and the kids for a long ride home. But when you got no windshield in a place like New York, things can get pretty...
What a magical city. Can we come back next year, Dad?
We'll see, honey. We'll see.
Maybe New York got off a little lightly, but The Simpsons paint the city out as full of loudmouthed, aggressive types, weird hobos, or road-raging idiots, which, to be fair, Homer was one of. Is that what it means to be American? Well, if it isn't, there's actually another episode where they cover that idea in a bit more detail. We all know Apu, right? Well, in season 7, he was facing fears of being deported after Mayor Quimby started blaming Springfield's poor economic situation on immigrants. So he forks out loads of cash to Fat Tony to get the right papers to become a citizen.
Okay, here are your fraudulent documents, social security card, birth certificate, and your death certificate. Just hold on to that one in your safe deposit box.
Fat Tony tells Apu that if he's going to be American, he needs to act American. And you can see where I'm going with this.
Hey there, Homer. How's it hanging?
Low and lazy. So... Hey, say something again.
Yep, dude goes full-on American. Stupid cowboy hat, low monotone voice, and wearing a sports jersey. I'd say he's got us pretty nailed down. But seriously, he obviously goes a little over the top of the whole American act.
You see, it turns out I am an American citizen after all. Ha ha. Say, let's take a relaxed attitude toward work and watch the baseball match.
To the point he completely breaks down about having to lie about who he really is.
I want to stay, but as the real me, not as some yahoo from Green Bay.
Yet another episode of The Simpsons that's more relevant today than ever. You get the idea, right? The fact he literally called the guy who's pretending to be a yahoo shows what other cultures think of us. Like I said at the start of the century, if you can't poke fun at yourself, who can you really make fun of? And when you've been on the air for nearly 40 years, there's probably not many things you haven't made fun of. So no doubt, somewhere The Simpsons has poked fun at all 195 countries at one time or another. Actually, never mind, I doubt they've ever made a joke about Kiribati. But you get what I'm saying. If you enjoyed this video, then head on over to our channel to check out some more Simpsons-related stuff, or give the video on screen a click for some instant animation action. Thanks for watching.